Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to day one of winter 2021 at Columbia College. Thankfully, we're all done with 2020 now, which was a bit of a disaster, but I have high hopes for 2021. What about you?
Seems like it's already a disaster.
Only in some places. Yeah. Um, yeah, those are some pretty surprising events. Was it last Tuesday?
I think so.
Last Tuesday? Yeah. Never thought I'd see that. Never thought I'd see that. Yeah, it's true. It's been a pretty crazy first couple weeks of 2021, but I'm hoping that's just like residual 2020 energy, and that'll disappear and things will get better. But anyway, I have high hopes for 2021. Welcome to Social Justice 12. My name is Mike Metcalf, as you saw on the little title screen there. I've been teaching here at Columbia College for almost 5.5 years now. I'm mostly a high school teacher. Sometimes I do a university transfer course here. Sometimes I teach Anthropology 110. Do one of those, but for the most part, I'm a high school teacher, and I teach social justice here. I teach comparative cultures a little bit later today, and I've also taught History 12, and I've taught some sociology and some other things too. But you may not want to believe me because I'm one of them, but you are in a really good place. There's lots of the people who work here really care about the college and the institution and about you guys, so it's a good place. You've picked a good one, I think. If you, I'm obviously biased in that assessment, but either way. But we're glad you're here, and we're glad you're online too. Before I kind of dive into talking a little bit about the course and what it'll be, maybe I'll just talk to you a little bit about how this works. And so what's happening here, so for people, there's people online that are watching on my YouTube channel, so I am streaming this live. And so, yeah, so whatever you see on the screen is what people can see online. And so nobody can see you online, which you may be like, whew, or, but either way, so nobody can see you. And when you speak in class, there's probably a good chance that nobody can really hear you anyway. And so usually, not anyway, but nobody will be able to hear you. So you don't have to feel self-conscious about saying something in class and thinking, oh God, my words will be broadcast all over the internet. Only I have to worry about that. And so often what I'll do is, if we're talking in class, if I ask you a question and you give me an answer, often I'll kind of summarize it for the people at home so that you don't have to worry about, you don't have a microphone for the internet. So don't feel self-conscious or panicked about that. I don't think my microphone here will pick up what you say. But of course, for people who are tuning in, I'll summarize it so they can at least hear what's going on and understand. Plus, nobody watches this channel anyway. Let's be honest, right? I'm not, I don't have millions of followers. I'm not Kim Kardashian. I think I have 73 people who have subscribed to my channel now, so that's pretty pumped about that. I'm gonna crack 100 in probably this year. Nobody watches this channel, so don't feel panicked about that. So everything, I'm streaming everything live as we do it, and so everything you see on the screen, people will see at home, and of course they can hear me. I can hear their comments, or I can read their comments, and so I can also put them up on the screen for us too. And so, did that work? Oh yeah. So online people, if we're having a discussion and you want to say something or you have a question, you can always just type it into the live chat here, and I can put it up on the screen, and so all of the students in class can see. And so, it's not a perfect solution, but I think it seems to work pretty well. It seems to be good enough. So I can do that, and we can kind of keep connected a little bit that way. Yeah. So for online people, if you ever need anything from me, or if you have a question in the, in the middle of what we're talking about, and you just want to type it in there, type it in, and I can see it right here. I can see it in my monitor next to me, and I can address it then. And of course, if I've left myself on mute, which of course is what people always do, please let me know and I'll fix it. I'm usually pretty good about that, and the software helps me keep that from happening, but if I screw it up, just let me know. Any questions before we kind of dive into the syllabus and what the course is about? I just wanted you to kind of know what's going on here, and yeah, what's going on, and why my face is on the screen when I'm actually right here. Is that okay? Okay, so let's jump in here. There we go. So this, of course, is social justice, and this course has been, I think, fairly popular for the last few years. It's run, I think it's run for maybe 2 years now, almost. It was a brand new course 2 years ago. Seems to be popular. Students seem to enjoy it. I enjoy teaching it. There's lots of interesting things to talk about, and so hopefully we'll find those as well. So kind of the basic summary of this course, and sometimes it's a little hard to define, but what we're really talking about is what kind of society we want to live in. How should every society, whether it's in this country or another country, or 10 years ago or 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago, people have to figure out how to live together, right? And they have to figure out how to take the resources they have and how they sort of distribute them in society, who gets what and how much. Everyone has to kind of figure that out. And social justice issues are very closely tied to that, right? Because the decisions we make in terms of who gets resources and who gets control of things, of course, affects how people live, right? Affects the quality of people's lives. And so this is a very important topic. Really, whether you know it or not, everyone who sort of runs a society is constantly making decisions, and those decisions affect the way people experience their society. Good morning, come on in, and live their lives. And so this is kind of an examination of how our lives are affected by the bigger kind of social groups that we belong to. And so these social groups are our gender, right? Whether we're a man or a woman, or maybe something in between, or maybe neither of those things. Our sexuality, right? Whether we're straight or gay or pansexual or bisexual or asexual, or we'll talk about all that stuff later. Our race, right? Whether we belong to the dominant race in the country we live in or a different one, right? And so our religion, our... Did that come from there? Wow. Where'd that come from? Okay, I don't know where that came from. Hopefully it... Okay, hang on, we don't need this. Oh, I know where it's coming from. It's me. Okay. Sorry, never mind. Yeah, I'd opened this stream in YouTube to send the link to someone. I left it playing, so that was actually me. Okay, weird. Okay, sorry about that. Right, our economic class, right? How much money we have, if we come from a rich family or a poor family. All of these things will influence the way we kind of experience the society we live in and the kind of opportunities that we have. And so it's kind of very important that we understand those things. And I think now, almost, maybe not more than ever, but I think it's a very, this course is a very kind of topical one in that it is about what's going on right now. And so, if we go back, 6 or 8 months or so, And if we look at the United States, the deaths of Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd and others, the Black Lives Matter protests, there's a lot of talk about race and racism, particularly in the US. And I don't know that there's been a time where we've been talking about it this much, right? If you look at US and Canadian history, there's kind of times where, racism is talked about and then we kind of get distracted with something else and then it comes up again. And so these topics kind of appear and disappear in the news cycle, but now seems to be a time where racism is something that everybody is talking about. And some people are talking about it really well, and some people are kind of confused about how things work and how to understand these things, because they're difficult concepts, right? In some ways, racism is very easy to understand, and in some ways, not so much. But again, we'll pull these things apart. And again, there's lots of things to talk about in a class like this. There'll be stuff that comes up in the news pretty much daily that we can refer to, not just with race, but with sexuality and gender and ability or disability or economic class. There's tons of things to talk about. And so it should be interesting. And this is what we'll talk about, is that, in what ways is society unequal, and to what degree are we okay with that, right? Obviously, we're all unique, different individuals. Obviously, we all have different talents and capacities and abilities. So there's always going to be some degree of inequality, but how much inequality are we okay with? And if we're not okay with the inequality that we have, how do we fix it, right? How do we talk about it? How do we figure it out? And in some ways, the answers may seem quite easy, and in some ways they are, but in some ways they're really pretty complex, and we'll get to talk about all of that stuff. So it's an interesting course. There is a textbook for this course, sort of. I've kind of been flirting with using this textbook. It's a university textbook that's an introduction to sociology. And so this course is kind of, it's kind of like a mini sociology course, if you will. That's kind of the perspective from which I teach it. And so I have this textbook, and I'll put it in Student Portal, and I'll put it in Microsoft Teams. We may use it a little bit. Sometimes I try to sort of incorporate it, but sometimes I just forget about it because there's so much else to talk about. So we'll see. We probably won't use it very much, but it'll be there for you. I may ask you to read a little bit out of it from time to time, but it will be there for you. Most of what I'll show you in class, though, or most of what we'll do in class, will be things I give to you. So I'll give you, I have some articles for you to read, I have some videos for us to watch, and a movie. Sometimes I'll talk, sometimes I'll ask you to talk. And so there's no real textbook for this course. It's just kind of a lot of things that I've put together, okay? Right, there's a bunch of learning outcomes here, which I won't go through in detail. You can read them in the syllabus. And by the way, the syllabus and the textbook, and basically everything we deal with in this class, I will post in either Student Portal or Microsoft Teams, okay? So everything you see on the screen, of course, will be recorded on YouTube, and it will be posted, so it will always be there. All the lecture slides that we deal with in class will be posted in Student Portal, so you'll always have those. Every article that we deal with will be posted probably in Microsoft Teams, so that'll be there. So everything we deal with in this class, I will have posted for you, okay? So you don't have to worry about missing anything. Right, so there's these learning outcomes, and I think really what they all come down to is being able to really understand complex issues and complex ideas, right? Can we take someone's idea, whether it's an argument or an opinion or an explanation, can we take it, can we pull it apart, can we understand how it works, and can we decide if this is a good thing, right? If this is something that we should believe or something that we should agree with, or was this a good decision? Is this an ethical decision? We'll look a little bit at history and see how kind of past history has influenced where we are, and maybe we can have some ideas about the things that are happening now, how they might impact the future, right? So they're all kind of they're basically critical thinking skills, if you will, and that's basically what we'll try to infuse and practice into this class, is thinking critically, right? Thinking logically, not simply accepting what people tell you. Unless it's me, then you have to accept all of it. No. And so that should be interesting, and it's very worthwhile. Like it's a very worthwhile skill set to have. And I know some people often, they think about sort of social sciences as, oh, whatever, math and science is really that's the important stuff, right? Well, maybe not all of us. Some of us think that way. But, I think, sorry, United States, but I think what we're seeing in the United States in a lot of cases is a real failure to be able to think critically, right? A real failure to be able to look at facts and ideas and assess them for their quality, right? Assess them, is this worth believing, right? So when President Trump says, oh, this election was stolen, there was massive voter fraud, we should have the tools to say, okay, President Trump, why do you want us to believe that, right? And the next question, of course, is, what is your evidence? What are your reasons for believing this? And, unless I've missed something, no such reasons have appeared, have they? Or evidence? None, right? So, again, we'll get to that a little bit later, but that's kind of the first step of critical thinking, is to look at evidence. Is there good reasons to believe something that someone wants us to believe? And in this case, there isn't, right? And again, some people still believe it, and I don't know if we can get into that later or not, but there's really no evidence to support that. And so, even though math and science and tech, of course, are critical to our modern functioning in society and in the world, I think you can have real problems if you have a failure to build these other skills as well, right? Critical thinking and how to sort of understand arguments and build arguments and understand how society works. I think that's an important thing too. And I would point to the United States and say, I think that's what happens when you fail in that respect. It can be a bit of a disaster, right? The next thing you know, you've got guys with horns storming your Capitol building. It's funny, but it's also very not funny. There's also some core competencies that we'll deal with here. I won't go into detail too much. One's communication, right? How we sort of communicate with each other and how we exchange information and obtain information from the world. Those are important things. Thinking, this is the sort of critical thinking idea that I talked about. We'll discuss that. And this course deals a lot with kind of personal and social competencies. And so we don't deal with it kind of explicitly, so I won't kind of teach you how to do this. But a lot of what we talk about here has to do with understanding other people's perspectives and points of view and experiences, right? And at the kind of very ground level, right? And so I'm not having the same experience of this class as you are, right? We're all in the same room, we're all hearing the same things, but we're having a different experience. And certainly the people online are having a very different experience, right? Hopefully not that different. But these kind of ideas will be fused into the course as well, and we'll talk about that as we go forward. Evaluation, which is always important. So how will we get the marks? Let's start with attendance. We'll go a little bit out of order here. So attendance, I will try to keep on top of. I keep track of it on Student Portal or through CAMS or whatever you want to call it. How I do it is I look to see if you are here, and then I mark you. If you're online, if you're tuned into YouTube here, keep in mind that if you don't comment, if you don't use the little live chat, I don't know that you're there, okay? So the only way for me to know that you're present is for you to say good morning, like some of you already have, which is nice. And so if you're online, I'll always say good morning. That'll be kind of the first thing I say or second thing. And so, yeah, say good morning back, and then at least I know that you are, at least I know that you are here and you are present, okay? I think what we've decided in terms of policy for this term, and I think you probably would have been told already, but I'll say it again. So if you are in Vancouver and you're not in quarantine and you don't have COVID and you're not actually sick, you're expected to be in class, right? So if you're a Vancouver person who's not sick and not in quarantine, you should be here, okay? If you do get sick, should I talk about this later? I'll talk about that later, yeah. So I will talk about that later. Yeah, so that's how I'll take attendance. If you are a Vancouver student and you aren't in the class, I'm gonna mark you absent, okay? So if you sleep in one day, you're like, oh God, I slept in. Yes, tune into the YouTube channel because doesn't make sense to miss class totally, right? That's not a good idea. But I'm gonna mark you absent, even if you're online, because you should be here, okay? So that's the policy we came up with over the break, and so that's what we're gonna stick to, okay? If you are sick, I'll talk about that a little bit later. So that's 10%. The next part is quizzes. So we'll do 4 quizzes, maybe one every 2 weeks or so. And how that will work is, again, if you're in class here, I'll get you to write a quiz, and so I'll just ask you 4 or 5 short answer questions, and you'll just write down your best answer, and I'll mark it, just like a regular quiz that you're probably used to. If you're online, what we'll do is I'll do an oral quiz with you, and so I'll call you through Microsoft Teams, and we will talk, and I'll ask you a few questions, and you'll explain them as best you can to me, and that's what we'll do. And so it's impossible to do the same thing for everyone. Obviously, if you're not in the room, I can't give you a paper test. That's not possible. And if I did oral tests for everyone, which I did in about a year ago, it takes a really long time. It takes hours to get them done. So it's a lot quicker if people can write them down. That's a lot easier for me. And then if you're not in Vancouver, we'll do an oral test. We'll talk over Teams, and then at least I can kind of see your face and talk to you as well, which is nice because you're not here, right? So that's what we'll do. There'll be 4 of those. There's this little micropaper thing, which is what I call it. And so the micropaper is kind of a research paper, but it's really short. So it's like a page and a half or so. And basically what I'll ask you to do is argue something. So write a research paper with an argument, with a point, a main point, and support it with some kind of outside research. Maybe finding one article. And so it's kind of my idea here, or the theory that I'm working from, is that if you can write a really good short paper, you can write a really good long paper. It's just more work. And so we'll kind of get a little bit of experience doing a research paper, but just a baby one, just a little baby research paper, okay? And so again, it's about a page and a half long. We'll talk about it a little bit later, how to write those. I'll try to give you some support and ideas about how it will go. But yeah, so there'll be 3. I think I said 3. There'll be 3 of those, and so yeah. But we'll get more into those. But that's what they are. They're just little baby papers. Okay. And then there's a final paper, which is basically a micropaper, just a little bit bigger. Okay. And so the final paper takes the place of a final exam. Again, final exams are difficult when people are here and also in other places. And so for this class, we won't have a final exam. We'll just have that final paper, which you may be like, yes, or you may be like, oh, but. What's that?
Is it still the same thing?
How do you mean?
Well, if we can't do the final exam, then we do the final paper, which is like a traditional exam, but we don't need to do it on time.
Yes. It'll be, well, I guess in some ways you could think of it as like an open book exam, but I'll be asking you one question. And in that question, in the writing of your paper, I will hopefully be able to determine sort of not only how well you've written the paper, but do you understand, right? Do you understand the concepts that we've talked about? So, yeah, you can think of it. Yeah, you can think of it either way. But yeah, that seems to be the best, for me anyway, that seems to be the best idea, to give everybody, kind of put everyone on a level playing field in terms of grading and marking, whether you're in the class here or whether you're somewhere else. Questions about that at the moment? Because you will never be able to ask them again.
Well, for the final paper, will students be given a final paper on the date of the exam?
No. So I will assign it. I'll assign it before, hopefully maybe 2 or 3 weeks before, and then you'll hand it in either on the last day of class or actually probably on like the day before exam week starts, so on the Sunday or something. So you'll have a lot of time to do it. It'll just have a due date. So it's just like it's like a regular assignment, but takes the place of an exam. Yeah. So no need to panic yet. Right, so attendance. If you're not going to be here, this is a little different this term. So if you are sick or you think you are getting sick, who do you contact?
Your body.
Your who?
When your instructor.
Oh. Okay. You can contact me for sure. I thought you said your mother, but I was like, you can contact her too. That's okay. Who you should contact is Deborah and Nav. Okay, so let them know if you're sick and you're not going to be here. So I think they have an email set up, which is NCA at Columbia College North Campus Admin Assistant. I don't know what it stands for. NCA, yeah. Email them and say, hey, I'm sick, not feeling well, and they'll kind of figure it out from there. And so they'll let me know. You can still let me know too, that's fine. But make sure you let Deborah and Nav know, and they'll take it from there, because we're kind of making Deborah and Nav the sort of point people for student illness, particularly in a pandemic, okay? So if you're not feeling well, contact them and they'll kind of take it from there. You can let me know, or you can also, they'll let me know as well. So either way, I will find out, okay? So yeah, if you're sick, that's what you want to do, okay? If you're absent for any other reason, you can let me know. If you have a doctor's appointment or something. If you miss a quiz or if you miss handing something in, I need some sort of really good reason, okay? So I forgot or I slept in, that's no good, right? So it has to be a good reason, okay? And probably one with documentation, like a doctor's note, okay? So don't miss that stuff. If it's a regular day and you miss class, I don't need any sort of note or something, but don't miss class, please. Yeah, and if you don't really have an excuse, I'll give you a 0. I'm sorry, but those are the rules, right? We'll talk a little bit more about academic honesty and cheating and plagiarism a little bit later. The nature of plagiarism has changed because not once upon a time, about a year ago, most of the sort of cheating that happened was people kind of looking at their neighbor's exam sort of thing while they were writing. But now it's different because we're doing so much written work. It's been, a lot of it has been sort of people getting other people to write for them, whether it's an essay service or like a buy a paper sort of thing, or they get their friend to help them out or whatever. And so that's been a little bit challenging, but we'll talk we'll talk later a little bit about, you know, why plagiarism is so bad and why we don't want to do it, but also kind of how to avoid it, because I think a lot of students are confused about what plagiarism is and isn't, and particularly depending on what country you come from. Some countries have a kind of a different idea of what plagiarism is and isn't as well. So we'll kind of talk about that, and we'll figure out kind of ways to avoid it, because you don't want to do it, right? You don't want to get in trouble. I don't want you to get in trouble. I want to read your work. I don't want to read someone else's. So we'll talk about that. You know, don't do it, right? Don't cheat. If you cheat, you get a 0, and so on and so forth. But we'll talk a little bit more. I think hopefully this is something that we'll be able to talk about in this class and kind of learn something from, I hope. Classroom code of conduct, I put it on the syllabus because it's part of the syllabus. I won't go into it. You're all I'm sure you'll all be perfectly well behaved. I don't have any issues here at Columbia College with our students. They're all lovely. For online people, you can almost do whatever you want because I can't see or hear you. But for people in class, I'm okay with drinking and eating in here. That's fine. Don't eat anything too smelly. Like, don't bring in fish first thing in the morning. You won't make any friends with microwaved fish first thing in the morning. But yeah, if I get you're in class and you're busy. If you want to eat in here, it's fine. Just don't make a mess. If you want to drink in here, it's fine. Just don't make a mess. Cell phones are super distracting. The absolute best thing you can do for yourself is to put your phone on vibrate and put it in your bag. That will be the best thing for you to do. However, I also understand that that's entirely unrealistic for some people because phones are addictive substances. And so, usually what I say is it's okay if it's on your desk. Sometimes you'll see, there'll be, your phone, look at it and see if that cute boy or girl texted you like you were hoping. I don't know. But either way, that's okay with me too. But if you're like staring at it or, watching a movie during class, obviously that's a no-go, right? So again, I'm not super hardcore about no cell phones because it's really tough for us to let go of our phones, and I am now guilty of that as well. But as I say, the best thing you can do for you, like for your success in this class, is to put it away so that you can fully focus and engage on what's going on. However, I also know that that's very difficult to do. So, again, if you don't make it an issue, then it's not an issue for me. That's kind of how I roll with that. So, if you want to say something, if you want to ask a question, you can just, you can put up your hand or you can just say it. I'm kind of flexible with that. There's not a huge number of us here, and so, yeah, if you want to say something at any point or ask a question, just jump in. It's fine. I'm cool with it. Email. So I probably should add Teams to this as well, but I'm sure you're all aware that you have a college email, and so please keep an eye on it. You can download the Outlook app for your phone and just keep it on there if that's easier for you. The college will communicate with students that way. I will communicate with you that way. Probably not very much, but you never know. So just keep checking your email and your Teams as well. I'll try to post in Teams. I will post in Teams. Pardon me. One of the things I wanted to ask you is in Teams, have you all seen that we now have a team, a Social Justice 12 team? Oh yeah? Okay. Would it be useful? I think what I'll do is there's a general, which we're in, so it's a social justice, then it says general, and I think I might add another channel to that and call it chat, and I'll just leave it. And so maybe chat, if you want to ask each other, then I'll just leave that for you, and you can talk to each other in that channel, in that forum, okay? So if you have a question, if you didn't understand something, if you missed something, you guys can message each other back and forth in that channel. I don't know if anyone will use it, but I'll create it anyway, and it'll be yours to use as you like, as long as you don't post anything awful. Okay, so we've got Teams. So yeah, so we'll be using Student Portal, we'll be using Teams, and we'll be using YouTube if you're online. For those of you who are in Vancouver and in the building here, we may have some drills during the year. I'll keep you posted on those. I don't really know when they're scheduled at the moment. Oh, okay, and I think that's what I had. What I wanted to do, I did want to take attendance this morning, but can we, so if you're online, can you just, into the live chat, can you just type the name that you want me to refer to you by? Because sometimes people are registered under their legal name, but of course they go by another name. So can you just type in the name that you want me to address you by, just so I know? And then for people in class, we'll kind of go around and you can introduce yourselves to me, and then I'll know who you are. Okay, let me just get set up here. Okay, so hopefully online people will do that. Yeah, so just type in the name that you would like me to refer to you by, and then I will know. Okay, so do that in the live chat if you're online, and for people in class, maybe, I know everyone hates this, but maybe I'll just go around. Maybe just tell me what your name is, and I don't know if it's your first term here or your second term or something, or maybe if you want to tell us a little something about yourself, that'd be lovely. So maybe, can I start with you, sir?
Yes, my name is Daniel.
Daniel, hello Daniel.
It's my second term at Columbia College.
How's it going so far?
Good.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are you from originally?
Iran.
You're from Iran? Yeah. How are you enjoying Vancouver?
Just study.
Yeah. Is the city okay, or is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Colder and wetter, or not so much?
I hate rain.
You hate the rain?
Rainy, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good. It is rainy. Absolutely. I'm from Edmonton originally, which is it's in the next province over in Alberta. It's farther north, so it's a lot colder than it is here. So it definitely rains a lot here, but I don't mind it because it's not. For me, it's never cold. Yeah. Are you? Is it cold where you're from in Iran? No. Oh yeah. Because it's colder. There's some mountainous areas in Iran that are colder, right? Yeah. Cool. Well, we're glad to have you, Daniel. And you, sir?
Right. You can call me Mulder.
Sorry?
My name is Mulder.
Mulder?
And this is my first term in here. And I'm from Hong Kong.
Cool. So you just arrived here a few weeks ago, or?
Yeah, I arrived here last December.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
finished quarantine.
Yeah. How were things in Hong Kong? Were they a little tense when you left, or?
Yeah, it's still pretty tense.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some pretty shocking stuff is happening, unfortunately. Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here. And you?
I'm Nicholas.
Nicholas?
This should be my fourth year.
Oh, really?
And I'm from the Philippines.
You're from Philippines, yeah? So you've been here for a while, yeah. How have you been back home recently, or?
No,
No. That's too bad. Do you miss it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here. And you, Miss?
My name is Sophie. I think this is my fourth term too. Yeah. I'm half Vietnamese, half French.
Hmm.
Italian. It's kind of complicated,
Okay.
but yeah.
There's a story there, I'm sure, but
I mean, it's not that complicated. It's my dad's born in Italy. Like he's 100% Italian, but he was adopted by French people.
oh,
Yeah. So on paper, I'm French, but like DNA, it's Italian.
oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah. How are you? How are you?
French, but I don't speak Italian.
You speak French? Oh, very good. I would speak French to you right now if I could speak French, but I can't. It's lovely to have you, Sophie. Yeah, but yeah, glad you're here. In the back.
My name is Basil.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Lebanon. It's my first term here.
Oh, all right. And so you just came a few weeks ago then,
Yeah, I arrived on December 16th.
December 16th. What was your
Kuwait.
what's that?
I live in Kuwait.
Oh, you live in Kuwait. Okay. What was your first impression in Vancouver when you kind of got off the plane and drove around, and what were you thinking?
I arrived at like 11 p.m.
Hmm.
It was all dark,
Hmm.
and I was tired from 25 hours flight.
Sure. You probably didn't know where you were. Okay, but after you kind of slept and looked around, what did you think of it?
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's rainy, but yeah.
It is rainy, and unfortunately, for you, it's. Have we even had a sunny day? Yeah, we've had a few sunny days. It's as we get into sort of March, it'll become. Spring will come very early here. Like in another month, you'll start to see little flowers come up, little tulips and crocuses and things. And so, yeah, like spring will come very early, and the sun will come back, and it'll all be okay. So don't worry. It's not like this. It's not like this all the time. It's not like a Twilight movie here where it's gloomy all the time. So Basil,
Yeah.
yeah, very nice to meet you. Glad you're here. You, Miss?
My name is Nasra.
Hello.
This is my first time here.
Okay.
I got here on Christmas. I'm from Kenya.
All right. And yeah, I really want to go to Kenya.
It's super nice.
Yeah.
So worth the travel. They have animals and food. Oh my goodness. Exquisite.
Really?
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Is it kind of a mix of different cultures, I would imagine, the food?
Yeah. Well, now, yeah, because we have a lot of Indian populations. We have
Mhm.
Indian food, and then we have obviously the local food, which is delicious,
Yep.
but it's spicy, flavorful.
I'm good with spice. Yeah.
It's really nice. We have a lot of things.
Oh, good. Good.
And animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, super nice.
Yeah. I'd like to go. It's on my list. My girlfriend and I have a list of places we want to go, and
You should definitely
it is on there. Actually, she taught for, I think it was part of her education program. She taught for a month in Kenya, I think. Yeah. I'm a little jealous. Yeah, I'm a little jealous. But yeah, it's nice to have you here, Nasra. Yeah, we're glad you're here. You, Miss?
Hello, my name is Blake. And
Blake?
Yeah.
Okay.
Blake. And this is my fourth semester.
Okay.
And yeah, just glad.
Yeah. That's good. Well, we're glad you're.
Sorry, got a little delayed.
No problem. Come on in. Come on in. That happens the first day. Have a seat, my friend. So, Blake, we're happy to have you. Where are you from originally?
Vietnam.
From Vietnam, yeah. Have you been back recently, or no? No. I hear they're doing kind of a better job with the pandemic at the moment, aren't they, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came here when the pandemic happened.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll all be able to travel sooner rather than later, and visit our people at home, right? Or just travel for fun. And you,
So you can call me Scotty.
Scotty? I will call you whatever you wish me to call you.
This is my fourth term here in Canada,
Okay.
and I'm originally also from Vietnam, south of Vietnam.
Hmm. Very good, very good. And are you enjoying Vancouver?
Vancouver.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No? What? Why not?
Like, actually, when I first arrived here, I only visited Vancouver for like 2 times, I guess, because of the pandemic.
Hmm. Yeah. That's okay. You know, it is kind of rainy and wet, but as I say, I promise the weather will improve. I promise. Scotty, it's nice to have you here. And you, sir, we're just doing introductions, as you probably imagine. So, who might you be? Sorry? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's okay. Yeah, we're happy to have you here for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, maybe we have almost everyone. Let me see who we have online here. Okay, so obviously we won't have a time to do this with the online people, unfortunately, but so we have a Sarah here. So good morning, Sarah. It's very nice to have you. It's very nice to have you in the class here. For online people, we'll definitely talk face-to-face through Microsoft Teams, like when we have a quiz. So the first quiz, you know, we can have a little chat beforehand and kind of get acquainted with each other, although you'll get to see me every day, but of course I won't get to see you. So Sarah's here. Good morning, Sarah. It's very nice to have you here. Simrat's here, of course, and I think Simrat is in Vancouver, but in quarantine at the moment. So I think they'll join us a little bit later once their quarantine period is over. But good morning to you. Nice to have you. Aza's here. Good morning, Aza. Abby is here. Good morning, Abby. And I think we saw you on the screen before. Ryan is here again. Ryan was in a class of mine last term, so I know him. So good evening to you. I'm going to stumble with your name a little bit. Tubshin Sana. Okay. Hopefully that sounded right. If it didn't, I apologize. But you can correct my pronunciation when we talk. But good morning to you. It's very nice to have you here. We have a Nicole here. Good morning, Nicole. Nice to have you. And we have Shania. And Shania was in a class of mine last term as well, so I know Shania. So hi, Shania. All right. That said, so I've posted the syllabus for you to read on Microsoft Teams and on Student Portal. On Student Portal, it's under Course Documents. In Microsoft Teams, it's in our little social justice team, and you'll see a little Files thing at the top, and in Files, you'll see I've got some folders there. So that's posted there. You can read over that. I think that's all I have for you today. I usually don't like to do a full class on the first day because we're just getting back into it, and you don't want to strain yourself on the first day, right? You want to just ease into it. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. Do you have any questions for me at the moment? Things that you would like to say or ask or?
Actually, I have one.
Sure.
Quizzes, like surprise quizzes, or do you like tell us?
I will tell you. Yeah. You can assume with me, I will do my best not to surprise you, and I am almost never trying to trick you. And so sometimes, when you write a quiz and you're like, oh, is this a trick question? Are they trying to fool me? I'm almost never trying to fool you, okay? So no surprises, no trying to trick you. I'm usually pretty straight ahead, yeah. Surprise quizzes are stressful, right? Yeah. Okay, good question though. Other questions or things you would like to say? That's okay. All right, well, I think that said, that was a reasonably successful first class. I think everyone kind of got here and got in the room. I think everybody is tuned in online, and that seems to have worked. My software worked okay, and probably more importantly, I remembered how to use the software, so that's good. So I think that's probably all I have for you today. So I will let you go. You can come back tomorrow, and we'll start talking about some social justice stuff. Maybe the last thing I'll say is I will give you a break in the middle of class as well. So if we were having a real class today, I would give you like a 10-minute break so you can, you know, refocus your head and go to the bathroom and check your messages or whatever you need to do. So, but for today, we'll end it there. You can go and be free, and I will see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Cool? Cool, cool? Okay, that is it. Online people, of course, that's it as well. So have a good rest of the day or night or whatever it is for you, and we'll see you tomorrow, okay? So bye.